So, let me ask you, what do you look for when hiring a tradesman to do work on your house? There are lots of things that one should consider when hiring a renovator. The reality is that a lot of people give very little, if any, consideration to some of the simple, common sense elements of hiring someone. The end result quite often becomes one of a disappointing nature, whereby not all of your expectations end up being met. The one thing that habitually influences a person's decision to hire someone is the price. That, more often than not, ends up becoming a regret. This video contains a number of pictures of some of the jobs that I've done in the recent years. They range from drywall patching to complete drywall boarding, taping, and mudding, interior and exterior painting, trim and baseboards installations, stripping and reapplying silicone around bathtubs, complete demos, framing walls, installing new subfloors, insulating, window and door replacements, natural stone laying, tile laying, and even replacing chimney rain caps. Although the work I do is not limited to these things alone. I am available for an immediate start on your new project. I work by the hour only, although my rates are very reasonable. The longer the job, the lower my hourly rate. I have good references. I'm reliable and honest. I work hard and keep your best interests at the forefront of everything I do. I have the best of tools that I could ever need to do the described work. My contact information is at the end of this video. Thank you very much. This is a job I did last year where I did a complete revamp to the inside and painted the exterior walls and did a repair and repaint to the window frames, both on the inside and on the outside. This is the original color of the house. I painted 2 coats to the walls, brushed and rolled. At this point, the window boxes, the gutters, and the main door have not been painted as of yet. The house walls are finished being painted at this point. They were given a minimum of 2 coats and more where was required. The window and door frames were so dry and cracked that it took upwards of 4 coats of paint to achieve these results. The newly painted shutters give this place a whole new look, don't you think? This is the same wall from a different angle. So let's take a look at the inside of this place and see all the work that was done. Welcome. Please come in. We're looking at the living room and main entry to the house. I literally patched hundreds of holes in these walls. The window boxes and trim needed to be scraped down and sanded to the bare wood before painting them. The ceilings throughout the house were smoke stained and really ugly at the beginning. Look at them now, white as can be. This is a look at the trim work and the painting to the front door. As you can see, the new trim work really dresses the door up well. We put new tile at the entry and inside the closet. This is a great way of keeping the water contained from ruining the floor, for instance, if you were using laminate or hardwood there. This is the way to go at an entrance. Every room in the house was repaired. As I mentioned, hundreds and hundreds of holes in the walls. Reprimed, painted. All the closet doors were repaired, new hardware put on them, repainted. These are just a couple of examples of the doors throughout the house. The floor squeaked throughout this house. What we did to fix it was we applied PL 400 from the underside between the joists and the floorboards. Then we screwed the heck out of the floor, eventually removing at least 95% of the squeaks. Then I gave a new subfloor to the kitchen, then installed new porcelain tile, and that's what it looks like right here. The cupboards were completely cleaned up and painted inside and out, and new hardware was installed. This was my first attempt ever at painting a post-formed countertop. It's an affordable alternative to replacing a counter. I'd highly recommend getting it done. Here's a closer look at the window boxes again. They were in really bad shape to start with, and this was an affordable alternative to replacing the windows themselves. I also put new laminate flooring throughout the house and replaced all the baseboards. It looks like a new place. Here's another look at the floor at the end of the hallway. I apologize for the blurry picture. I don't claim to be a photographer. But as you will take note, I cut the bottoms of all of the door jambs so that the flooring boards could fit underneath them. What you might see from time to time is people will cut the flooring around the door jambs, which is not the way to do it. This is nice and clean and well done. Here's a house that I painted the exterior trim and the window trims and did some touch-up repair work to the walls themselves. This window was replaced with a new one, and I replaced the outside window trim to match what was already on the house. This house was completely gutted on the main floor as well as in the basement. New partition walls were framed upstairs. The door openings were all revamped to meet code. This floor squeaked terribly as well. Of course, I removed all of the squeaks from it. Before adding a 3/4 inch subfloor to the whole house, I of course applied PL 400 to each sheet beforehand. This helps eliminate future squeaks. We insulated the complete house using Roxol insulation. I really prefer this brand to any other brand due to its firmness and ease of installation. when you make a cut, it simply cuts much better than the rest. We replaced all of the windows in this house as well. This is an example of one of the basement windows having been installed, showing the insulation application around them. Of course, using Acousto-Seal where the vapor barrier overlaps and taping it. There will be no heat loss through these window openings, I assure you. This is yet another house that I did a complete renovation to. The complete insides were redone. We replaced the roof, the windows, the doors, rebuilt the roof over the garage. We also repainted the whole exterior of the house, and this is natural stone that you're seeing on the front, which the homeowner wanted it done completely around his house. The inside of this house was in dire need of repair as well. We did a complete revamp to the kitchen, replaced all the trim, repainted the whole house. There were tons of repairs that had to be done to the walls and the ceilings of this house as well. Unfortunately, when I was transferring my pictures for this particular job from my camera to my computer crashed, and as a result I lost 95% of my pictures for this job. This is a bathroom tile job that I did. This will give you an example of my siliconing ability and tile cutting ability, and of course tile application ability. One of my favorite things to do is to patch drywall holes. This next set of pictures will walk you through the different stages of making those repairs. This picture is of the enlarged hole that I created so as to install a patch into it. Once the square hole has been made, I then cut a piece of drywall 3 inches bigger than what the hole is. I go to the back side of the piece of drywall and I make a slit in the paper 1 3/4 inches inside all around the piece. I then apply mud to the perimeter of it, which enables it to secure itself to the inside of the hole that's in the wall. The next step is to then apply mud around the entire hole so that you can squeegee the paper to the wall itself. And this is what it looks like after it's been initially applied. Here are additional holes in different parts of the room. And in this next picture, there are the patches that were put in. Now there's a little bit of a process. This is the first coat of mud applied to all of the patches that I made in these 2 walls in the corner of this room. And here's the second coat of mud applied. It's been primed. Then I did the cutting of the green paint. And here's the finished coat of paint when it's all said and done. You can't even tell that there was a hole in the wall at this point. This is a small basement development that I did. I framed the basement walls and the bulkhead, boarded the ceiling, the underside of the bulkhead, and the walls. Here the taping has begun, and the first coat of mud has begun. And when it's all said and done, we prime it, and this is what it looks like. I also installed the laminate flooring in this rec room. This is another job where I did a complete inside renovation too. There were lots of wall repairs and patching and painting. We replaced all of the baseboards and the flooring throughout the place. New blinds on the windows. This ceiling was smoke stained as well. And the window frames were in really bad shape here. That room got lots of sun. This is a sample of my cutting the bottoms of the door jambs to enable the flooring to get underneath it. Makes a nice clean cut. This particular job was an interesting one for me to do. I gutted the whole inside of this, replaced all the windows and doors, had to bust out part of the basement foundation, and the list goes on. But this is an example of my work doing glass block window, and this is the first time I had ever done this as well. I really enjoyed this project. It was fun to do, and it went off great. And last but not least, here's a little blip about rain cap replacement. As you can see, the top of the chimney needed to have some work done as well, aside from just replacing the rain cap. So after getting that done, I applied silicone to the perimeter of that metal plate that's sitting on top of the concrete blocks, and then siliconed around the perimeter of the pipe with a high temperature cement. And it was a nice clear day.
Hello again. I thought you might want to put a face to the voice. My name is Noel Chevrier. The pictures I've shown you so far barely touch the surface of the type of work that I am capable of doing on your behalf. And although it's not the time of year for it, I also do a fair amount of deck and fence construction. As for the moment though, I'd be thrilled to land a basement development, if that were at all possible at the moment. Aside from that of an electrician and a plumber, there'd be no need to hire any other tradesmen for the rest of the work that would have to be done. I'm the only guy you'd need to deal with. That alone can save you a lot of grief and time and money. And it also enables the job to run much more smoothly. So regardless of whether you're hoping to get a reno job done now or in a few months from now, do get in touch with me. Because the sooner you commence your planning and preparation for your job, the smoother it will go. I can be reached either by telephone or by text or by email. My contact information will all show up at the end of this particular clip. Yeah, I do realize that I resemble someone who lives in the bush, but I assure you that I do have an eye for detail, and I take great pride in my workmanship. I stand behind everything I do. By the way, I have no qualms about traveling out of town either. I've done work as far away as Merritt, Logan Lake, and as far east as Chase and Sorrento. So it doesn't really matter to me where the work is. I'm sure we can work around that. I thank you in advance for your consideration to do business with me. And as I had mentioned at the onset of this video, I have good references. When you do contact me, I'll be sure to give you a list of people as long as my arm. So thanks again, and I hope to be talking with you soon.